Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Tom Wisniewski. I'm part of the team from the Dynamics 365 migration community that tries to bring you this content around helping you think through these major considerations on how do you get from your on-premise state to hopefully a future cloud state for your organization. And with us today we have ArunKumar Sarathikrishnan from our FastTrack team. And he's going to be talking about, the best ways to manage your data from when you think about moving from on-premise to the cloud with your AX solution, and specifically AX 2012. So, Arun, take it away. Arun, you're on mute.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I am ArunKumar Piskala, Dynamics Solution Architect from the Customer Success team at Microsoft. So let's start the meeting here. So many of the customers are interested in the innovations that are happening in the cloud, but did not know the starting point of the cloud journey. To help those customers to move to cloud, Microsoft has invested in the tools associated to the upgrade process. Today, we are going to discuss particularly about the data upgrade process while you upgrade your environment from AX 2012 to D365. So here is the agenda. We will go through the overview of the upgrade process. There are two distinct phases in the execution of the upgrade process from AX 2012 to D365. One is the code upgrade. The next one is the data upgrade. Today, we will go through the steps involved in the data upgrade in detail. We'll first start with the data upgrade in a dev box and then look at the process of a sandbox data upgrade. Before we start the data upgrade in a dev box, we'll have to run the upgrade analyzer on your AX 2012 environment. We'll go through the steps and the benefits of the upgrade analyzer in the next slides. Then we will go through the execution steps of the data upgrade in a dev environment. The troubleshooting facilities that we have in a data upgrade will also be covered. The important benefit of executing the data upgrade in a dev environment is the capability to troubleshoot the issues in detail, and we will go through those techniques. The next topic will be the data upgrade in a sandbox environment. We'll go through the tools that is available for the sandbox environment. We have a new process to perform the data upgrade in a self-service environment. The sandbox in D365 resides in Microsoft Managed Infrastructure, so we do not have the same level of access we have in the dev environment. So the process for the data upgrade in a sandbox is different than the process that we do in a dev box, and we will cover that topic too. And as part of the data upgrade in a sandbox, we use a new process called SQL transaction replication, and how we use that in the data upgrade process for the sandbox will be also covered. We have a new data upgrade toolkit that is available for the sandbox environment, and we will go through that. And finally, we will go through the go live process with the new tools. We will end the session with a Q&A. Okay, let's go through the overview of an upgrade process before we get into the data upgrade itself. A migration project is not very different than a regular implementation. But we have a massive advantage because we are not starting fresh, rather we are starting from the strong foundation we have built over the years on the existing AX 2012 environment. A migration project can be divided into three different phases: analyze, execute, and validate. The activities in the analyze phase help you estimate the effort that is required for the upgrade. They also help you prepare a project plan and make an informed purchase decision by providing data points about the effort and the resources that you will require. The first step in the analyze phase would be to sign up for a preview subscription in LCS. Append your LCS project to upgrade methodology. This methodology is specifically designed for AX 2012 customers who are upgrading. It describes the three phases in detail and provides link to all supporting documents about the process. Then we will want to deploy a AX 2012 dev environment in the LCS project, bring your AX 2012 database and code to the environment. At this point, run the upgrade analyzer against the AX 2012 environment. We'll speak about the advantages of running the upgrade analyzer in the next slide. Then, once the AX 2012 upgrade analyzer is being run, then we will go through the process of estimating the code and data migration tasks. After the estimation is done, then we also will do the fit gap analysis. And when the fit gap analysis is done, we will create a project plan depending on the findings that we have got from the analyze phase. The execute phase is when you will run through the task that you have planned through the analyze phase. At this point, you will switch your LCS project from preview subscription to an implementation project. You will identify the implementation project as an upgrade project because when you convert the LCS, when you update the LCS project as implementation project, you get several links supporting to your upgrade process, which will be very helpful for you during the upgrade. With the tools available in LCS, you will be able to perform the actual code upgrade, and then we will be able to do the data upgrade also. The customer's main objective at the code upgrade stage should be to create a compile error-free code. Once the code upgrade is complete, customer can start the data upgrade in a dev environment. Expect issues during data upgrade, but resolve all the data upgrade issues in your dev environment before starting the data upgrade in your sandbox. Perform a couple of rounds of data upgrade steps in your sandbox environment before you move into the validate phase of the project. In the validate phase of the project, you will create a cutover plan, then test the plan, validate your upgrade, and finally, you will go through the go live activities and make your application live in D365. Let's look at the advantages of running the upgrade analysis. Because we are concentrating on the data upgrade process for this session, I will only talk through about the data upgrade process and their activities related to the data upgrade. There are three important steps to be performed before we start the data upgrade. Number one is to run the upgrade analyzer against your AX 2012 environment. The upgrade analyzer identifies the data that you can clean up in your AX 2012 environment. Because and it will also identify the specific data which can be cleaned up without breaking any of the functionalities in your AX 2012 environment. We have a long list of items that can be cleared. This is one of the important steps while we do the data upgrade, is because one of the component cost that you have in a D365 environment is the size of the database too. So if you get an opportunity to clean up your database in your AX 2012 environment, it will give an advantage for you when you move into the D365 environment. And also, because the database size has been optimized now in 2012 itself, your upgrade to D365 will be faster. This upgrade analyzer also identifies the SQL configurations that can be optimized so that you can perform your data upgrade faster. The upgrade analyzer also gives you a list of deprecated features in your AX 2012 environment. With this list, you can also identify what are the gaps that you need to address when you move on to the D365 implementation. So running the upgrade analyzer has to be the starting point for your data upgrade process. Let's look into the pre-upgrade checklist. So the next process in your data upgrade is to run the pre-upgrade checklist. The pre-upgrade checklist has to be executed on the AX 2012 environment. Before you start the data upgrade, you will have to install a couple of KBs in your AX 2012 environment, and the KBs are listed here. Once the KB is listed, we will run through a checklist to perform a certain activities. So let me name a few. One is preparing the model metadata. During the data upgrade, one of the goals is to maintain the element IDs between existing AX 2012 environment and the upgraded finance and operations environment. To accomplish this goal, you should bring a copy of element IDs in AX 2012 into F&O environment. AX 2012 stores all your element IDs in a table in the model element. This table is in the model database, and it is in a separate database other than your business data. So during your upgrade, you should be copying the model elements from your model database into the business database. And after you upgrade, these elements ID will be copied over to the D365 environment. So that is one of the steps. The other step is that in 2012, you have all your users as an on-prem user. So they are related to your on-prem security. So when you move into D365, the D365 works on Azure Active Directory. So you should be able to map all your users from your on-prem Active Directory to your Azure Active Directory. So we have provided a form as part of the checklist where you will be able to map for each of the users the Azure Active Directory user IDs, and then you can configure them. Once you configure them, when you upgrade the database, you will have those users automatically enabled in D365, and the users can access your D365 environment. So preparing your data and going through this checklist is important before you start your data upgrade process. Next, we will go through why do we need to do the data upgrade process in a dev environment. Dev environment is actually hosted onto a customer subscription. With that, the customer has all the has a complete control on their environment. You have the admin access, you have access to your SQL database, you have access to the error logs, and all access that you need when you do a data upgrade is available in your dev environment. That gives a huge advantage, because when there is an issue during the data upgrade, you will be able to troubleshoot it and fix it in your dev environment before you move on to the sandbox. So, and also when you do upgrade your data, other than the standard data, you will also have data related to your customizations. For you to move your customizations data into D365, you might have to write upgrade scripts. You will be able to write the upgrade scripts and also test the upgrade scripts in the dev environment. And when you get into a problem while doing a data upgrade in the dev environment, for you to reiterate or start from the beginning is very easy, because you're doing it in the dev environment and you have complete access to the SQL server as well as the complete environment itself. So what are the steps that we will go through that we have to do the data upgrade in dev environment? Number one is to back up your AX 2012 database and then upload it to the Azure storage, because the dev environment for D365 resides on a cloud hosted environment. You will have to move your database from your on-prem to the cloud-based environment. So for you to do that, you will have to back up and restore the database into the Azure storage. Once you have the database in the Azure storage, you will download that into the dev environment and then execute the data upgrade steps. Let's look into the steps in detail. When you are backing up the data from your on-prem environment, you're actually backing up a .bak file, which is very familiar with all the AX 2012 users. And while you take the backup, try to take a compressed backup of your database so that you can reduce the size of the backup file, and it will reduce the time that it will take to upload that backup file into the Microsoft Azure storage. Since this is your dev environment, you can expand your dev environment disk size, because by default, the environment comes with a specific set of storage limit, but you can expand it because it is a dev environment and you have complete access and it is in your subscription. You'll be able to expand the disk size, and then you can restore the database backup from AX 2012 into the cloud hosted environment. And when you are restoring the database in the cloud hosted environment, do not overwrite the AXDB database that is related to the D365. Restore the AX 2012 database as a separate database. And once it is restored, then you can actually change the name of the database and then use it. We will look at it in the next slide. So once the database is restored in the cloud hosted environment, you'll have to stop 3 services in your DevBox. One is the worldwide publishing service, the batch management service, and the MR service. You'll have to stop these 3 services in your DevBox and then rename the actual AXDB, which is connected to D365, to axdb.org, and then rename the database that you brought in from AX 2012 as AXDB. Once you have done that, then we will go through the data upgrade process itself, right? So for us, the major assumption that we are going through with this activity is that before you start all this, you have done your code upgrade and you have an updated code ready with you. So even before you restore the database, I would recommend you to install the code base, the upgraded code in your dev environment, and then start the process that I described in this slide and the previous slide. Right. So once you have the database restored now, and it has been named as AXDB, we will look at how do we do the data upgrade itself. For us to perform the data upgrade, Microsoft has provided a data upgrade package in D365. And that package is available in the LCS portal. So once you sign into the LCS portal, you will look into the shared asset library. And in the shared asset library, you have the AX 2012 data upgrade package. The package has been highlighted in the screenshot here, and we have various packages for different versions of D365. What happens is, like, at every release that Microsoft is releasing, it also releases a new version of the data upgrade package. You can utilize that specific version that you are going to upgrade to, and then use that package to perform the activities. In a dev environment, you can run the data upgrade package in two different ways. One is through the LCS portal itself. Now we have a new capability in the LCS portal where you go into the LCS portal, choose the data upgrade package, and then run it through the portal itself. But I would recommend you to run the data upgrade package through the command line. And for you to do the command line, you'll have to go through a step that is described in this slide. The deployable package can be deployed using the command line. And for us to do that, first, we'll have to collect the topology of the environment. We have to generate a runbook and import the runbook in the environment and then execute the runbook. While we do the steps, what happens is, like, if we are stuck with any of the, if we are stuck in any of their data upgrade steps, we will be able to correct them and then rerun them without resetting the complete environment. So you have all the flexibility that you would want to run in the dev environment. So utilize the command line feature for you to execute the data upgrade package in the dev environment. What happens when you do the data upgrade package in the dev environment? It prepares your source database for the upgrade process, and then it changes the metadata from AX 2012 to D365 and the version to which we are upgrading it to. It identifies all the obsolete fields. It introduces the unique indexes or any metadata changes that has brought into the D365 environment on your data. And then the scripts, we have scripts called release DB scripts, and those release DB scripts will be executed to convert your data from your AX 2012 to D365. And then finally, we'll be synchronizing all the metadata from your 2012 to D365. All this happens when you execute the deployable package in your dev environment. We have a rich capability to troubleshoot any issues while you execute the runbook. Let's say you have the runbook generates a series of steps that needs to be performed in a data upgrade process. For example, you have 1 to 30 steps and you have failed, the process fails at maybe the step number 20. You'll be able to identify why the step has failed, and you will be able, all the logs will be available for you to debug it, and you can rerun the particular step exactly rather than starting up front. So you have this capability of re-executing any of your data upgrade steps as you want to, and you don't need to reset the environment to start afresh from the first step of the process. And also, while you do the data upgrade, you also want to know how long the different scripts in the data upgrade process took you to perform those activities. So you will have a detailed error log and the scripts available to identify which script in your data upgrade step has taken how much of time, and if a particular step is taking longer than required, you can actually debug that and then see how you can optimize those steps. The progress of the runbook is also available in the runbook itself, the data upgrade in the runbook itself. So you can identify and then see where the upgrade process is and how you have to go through the various errors and the things that you have gone wrong during the data upgrade process. Because we have the full access in your dev environment, for you to do this data upgrade is easier in your dev environment. Once you do this and have your data upgrade successfully complete in your dev environment, you can actually move on to the sandbox environment data upgrade. The data upgrade in a sandbox will be different than in a dev box. The sandbox environment does not give you the full access. We do not have admin access, and the SQL server in the sandbox is not a regular SQL server. It is an Azure SQL server, so you do not have the full access to the environment. And for us to do the data upgrade in the sandbox environment, a new process has been released that is called a self-service upgrade process. The sandbox environment has moved into a elastic pool, and when the elastic pool, we do not have the admin access to the environment. So the process for upgrading the data upgrade in the sandbox is different than what we do in the dev environment. This tool outlines the various tools that we had in the sandbox to do the data upgrade and how it has changed over the period. At the beginning of the cloud journey, customer had complete access to the sandbox with admin access to the SQL server, and they would be able to convert. They have to convert their database to backpack process and then upload it to LCS portal and then import them in the sandbox. The process was working, but we had a large cutover time because the time to upload your time to convert your database into backpack and then upload to the environment was taking very long, and because of which, though the process was working, it had a long cutover period. And also we had a full access to the environments before, in the sandbox environments before, but today the sandbox environments access has been deprecated and we have only access to the SQL server through the just-in-time access. Because of that, the process for us to upgrade the self-service data upgrade has been simplified. And here we have leveraged a new process called which utilizes the SQL replication. And also we have introduced a new tool, which is a single console app to upgrade your data upgrade in your sandbox self-service environment. And the tool for you to upgrade is available in the LCS portal, and you can utilize that tool to upgrade the data in self-service environments and sandboxes. So in the new self-service upgrade tool, we have a SQL replication process. What it does is, earlier, as I told you, when you upgrade your data and then move your data from your on-premise environment to LCS, it took a long time. And that brought in a long cutover period and customers were not happy about it. So to reduce the cutover period, what the product team has done is that they have introduced the well-known SQL transaction replication service. So through this service, what we will do is we will connect your AX 2012 environment to the sandbox environment. And when we connect it, what happens is that we use the SQL transaction replication to copy the snapshot of your database from AX 2012 into the sandbox environment and through the SQL replication. And once the snapshot of the database is being copied over to the sandbox, the SQL replication process will continue to replicate the data that is being moved, that has been created in your AX2012 environment after the initial replication is being done. So then on, whatever transactions that you do in your AX2012 environment will be replicated in the sandbox. So one-time activity of copying the snapshot happens, and then later whatever transactions that you make in the AX2012 will also flow through the transaction replication and then will be available in the D365 sandbox environment. So what happens is, like, since your data from your AX2012 is being replicated with D365 on a constant basis, during the cutover time, you do not need to perform a lot of activities. The data is already available in your sandbox, and from the sandbox you can do the data upgrade activities and then go through the data upgrade process itself. It reduces your overall downtime required for you to do the data upgrade. What are the benefits? The tool that been introduced for this self-service upgrade process automates the SQL replication service configuration. So it is a single console app. When you run that, it asks for your LCS project ID, it asks for your environment ID, and also asks you to open up the firewall to connect your AX2012 environment with D365. Once you make this connection, the replication process is being automated. And because the replication process is automated and the data is being copied over in real time, whenever there is a new data coming up in 2012 to D365, we are able to reduce the cutover time drastically. And also the schema objects and everything is being copied over through the SQL replication process itself. What are the prerequisites for us to execute the self-service upgrade process, data upgrade process? We need the access to the AX2012 and 2012 R2 and R3 environment. We have to install the KBs that we saw in the previous slides, clean up the data, enable the replication feature in SQL Server, have the SQL Server agent running in the environment, and then have the space that you need to copy the data from AX2012 to D365. So remember that you have to have a good amount of database space in AX2012 environment, because when we are doing this replication process, what happens is, like, all the data that is being copied, that is available in AX2012, will be copied over to D365. And during this process, there is a process which will copy the data between the source database and the distributor database. So have and plan enough database size so that you can perform these functions without any problem. Where do we find the data upgrade package? The data upgrade package for the self-service environment is available in the LCS portal, and thus is available in your shared asset library. And in the shared asset library, you have the AX2012 replication package, which can be downloaded, and that is the console app. The console app will have to be installed in your source environment, and from that source environment, you will give all the required access. What are the features of the tool that we have downloaded from the LCS portal? It enables the data upgrade in the self-service environment. It uses the transaction replication. And when you are doing the transaction replication, all your statuses related to the tool is also updated in the LCS portal. Though the entire process is being handled through the single console app, the status of the replication is updated to the LCS portal. And this is one single toolkit through which you will manage the entire database upgrade activity for the self-service environments. The tool for data upgrade in self-service environments comes with a 12-step process. The user will have to navigate through each of these 12 steps to perform the complete data upgrade process in the sandboxes. The first step would be to connect to your LCS project authenticate the connection to the LCS project. Once the LCS project is authenticated, you will be opening up the IP for your AX2012 environment replication to work with your self-service environment. Once the IP is allowed to interact with each other, then you will actually start the replication process. And during the replication process, a one-time copy of your total AX2012 environment will be copied over to the D365 self-service environment as a snapshot. Once the snapshot is being copied over, what will happen is and then the replication status is enabled. And after the replication status is enabled, any transaction that happens in your AX2012 environment will be copied over to the D365 sandbox. So that way you are always in sync with the latest data. Until the date of cutover, you will have every other data that you have used in AX2012 that you have created in AX2012. And on the day of cutoff, when you're ready to actually perform the data upgrade, you will have to stop the AX AOS services in AX2012 environment and then start the cutover activities, which starts from 8 to 12. The cutover activities is actually the data upgrade process itself. In DevBox, whatever data upgrade process you did, those will be performed in the sandbox environment also. But at this point, you are not doing that through a runbook execution, but you are managing that completely through the toolkit that is available. And when you run the data upgrade process, depending on the size of the database, the data upgrade process can take a long time to complete. But you'll be prepared for it because you have done already the same process in your DevBox and you know how long it will take to actually run the upgrade in the sandbox. Try to do this sandbox upgrade process of multiple times so that you can expect what to see in the production process. So try a few times the data upgrade process in the sandbox also before you actually do that in the production environment or during the production go live process. While you do this data upgrade, the tool has also provided with a various reporting features to see like what process is running and which of the scripts within the data upgrade has been executing. So while the data upgrade happens in AX2012 to D365, it actually is being done through a series of SQL scripts, and those scripts are available in the release DB classes. And for every execution, the tool will also report that certain execution has been completed and what is the current process running in the data upgrade process. So you have a complete robust reporting feature available in the tool, and the users can ask those commands and then see like which script is running and how long it will take to complete the data upgrade process. And at the same time, the tool also gives you some troubleshooting features also. So if one of the data upgrade process fails, you will be able to identify why it has failed. And if the process has failed and there is no way that you can correct it, you can actually go back to the replicated state in the sandbox and then restart the entire data upgrade. And if the data upgrade, while you restart it, needs some code changes, you might have to delete the entire sandbox and then recreate the sandbox and start the activity from the scratch. So remember that this is not a one-time activity. You'll have to do it a few times to make it successful in the sandbox. Once it is completely done in the sandbox, then you'll be ready for the go live process. So your go live process with the self-service environment will look like this. Ensure all the prerequisites are fulfilled. Deploy your complete custom code, the code that has been upgraded from 2012 into the sandbox environment. It is important that you first deploy the code package and then start with the data upgrade, because once you start the data upgrade, you will not be able to update any of the code in the sandbox environment. Once that is done, then you will have to actually download the data upgrade tool and then run through the replication process. When the replication process is ready and your data is being copied over and it's all up to date during the go live, when you're ready to go live or during the cutover time, you will stop the AOSs and execute the cutover steps. And the cutover steps will actually do the data upgrade process itself. And in any time you have an error and you want to go back, you have a point and restore feature available in the sandbox if you need to do that. And once you complete the complete data upgrade process in your sandbox, you can copy that database and then use it for the production go live. Since the database is available in Azure SQL and it's already in the backpack file, you do not need to convert that. You do not need to spend time in conversion to the Azure SQL database while you do the production movement. So by having this SQL transaction replication process and the toolkit, we have been able to reduce the downtime to a very large extent. And once the database is ready, you copy the database to the production environment. And once the database is copied, then you perform the smoke test, compile the application, complete the application setup, and then allow the users to go live. So this is the overview of the self-service data upgrade process, and this is how we will be able to complete and reduce the time taken for the data upgrade. We have a lot of resources available for you to go through. The data upgrade process in the dev environment, as well as the data upgrade process in the SQL in the self-service environment. The resources available in this slide can help you out with that process. Join the migration community, and also there are many fast track tech talks available for you to refer, for you to do the dev data upgrade as well as the self-service environment data upgrade. We had the fast track tech talk demo of the self-service database upgrade by July. So if you can look into that page, you will find the complete demo of the self-service data upgrade process also. With this, I think I have completed the slides that had been planned for the session. And if you have any questions, please ask at this point.
Arun, so I'll help field the couple questions that we have had come in while you were presenting. The first one is from Nancy. For compressing the data file, any issues with corrupt files once it's been restored?
Can you please come again with the question?
Yeah, so once a file has been restored with regards to compressing the data file, are there any issues with it, being corrupt?
Oh, sure.
Getting corrupt.
Yeah. So in AX 2012, the customers might have the database compressed or uncompressed. It is not always all customers will have the database compressed. In D365, we have the database for D365 is completely compressed. So because of that, when you take the backup for your data upgrade, we recommend you to compress and then take it. But if there is a problem with the compression or the data backup that you take, because it is your AX 2012 environment, you can redo that process and then get a database backup which is good enough for us to use in the data upgrade.
Okay, great. Yeah. Another one here is how can we reduce the size of the size of our AX 2012 database?
Right. So we have a long list of cleanup routines that is available for AX 2012. Like I can name a few of the cleanup activities that can be easy to tackle. Is that many of the customers in AX 2012 use the AAF feature. So because we are using AAF feature, many customers do not clear their history in the AAF tables. So if you look into the AAF history table cleanup, you can save a lot of space. Similarly, customers use alerts, customers use batch process, and they have inventory cleanup jobs out of the box available. So we have a long list of cleanup activities that are available out of the box, which customers can utilize and then reduce the database size. And the link for the cleanup activities can be given in the chat. Tom, I have given you the link already. If you can, yeah,
I can put that in the chat here. And then we had one on the demo, but you answered that one, so we'll provide that in the chat as well. Sure. And then finally, just curious, Arun, where would you recommend that folks start with this process, right? Regardless of if they have AX 2012 or a different version instance of AX, what are some of your recommendations in terms of initially tackling their data in preparing it for migration? Any other recommendations there?
Sure. As of now, we have the in-place data upgrade available only for AX 2012 R2 and AX 2012 R3. So for these two versions, we have in-place upgrade. The process that I navigated through these slides are related to those two versions. So if you're on any other versions like AX 2009 or 2012 RTM, we recommend you to go through a migration process. The difference between in-place upgrade and migration process is that through migration, we don't bring in all the data that is available in your previous installations, rather bring in your master data and the opening balances. But in case of R2 and R3, you can actually upgrade the complete database that you have today into D365. And in both the cases, be it 2009 or 2012, we would definitely recommend to reduce the amount of data that you are looking into and then plan for the data upgrade. And for the process of the entire upgrade, the data upgrade is the second step in the complete upgrade process. The initial step is to complete your code upgrade. And for you to do the code upgrade, the LCS portal can be a go-to place. In the LCS portal, we have a number of tools which can facilitate your upgrade process. So for code upgrade, we have a upgrade analyzer, which I discussed in the slides. And also we have a upgrade estimator. So you can upload your model store and then run through the estimator to get the number of items that needs to be worked on, and also will tell you what are the deprecated features. So with that, you can actually work on upgrading your code first. And once the code is upgraded, then you move on to the data upgrade process. And to complete all the steps, I would say the one place to go will be to create an LCS project. If you have purchased the licenses already, then you can go through an implementation project. Or if you have not, then I would recommend you to go through a preview LCS subscription and then go through the upgrade methodology, which will give you the detailed phases and the steps that can be carried over for the upgrade.
That's great. Thanks so much. And so that covers all of the questions that we had in the chat at the moment. If there aren't any, or if there are any remaining ones, please put them in the chat now. And while you do that, as Arun was mentioning before, we have a lot of great resources out there, both within the Dynamics migration community and between the community and the FastTrack team. So please check those out, and you can obviously, ask your additional questions in the product forums that we have for both AX and CRM. Oh, here's one from Randy. Oh, and a couple more. Oh no, same question, Randy. He just submitted twice. So Randy's question is, do these steps also cover? Are they also covered if the dev VM environment are on premise?
Yes. So the data upgrade process in particular, if you want to do it, you can do it in your dev environment on premise also. You will have to download the VHD and then do the data upgrade process, because in the dev environment, we are not applying the package through the LCS portal. We are executing it through the runbook, and because it is runbook, it is executed within your VM. So if your VM is on premise, you can still run your data upgrade process and convert convert your data from AX 2012 to D365.
That I will say thank you very much. Have a great evening, afternoon, day, or depending on where you are in the world. And we'll look to connect with you next time.